Hey everyone, this is David Brown with the migration update for March 2nd, 2024 from the Braddock Bay Hawk Watch. Well, it was kind of a rainy, gloomy morning, so I started out by going to the east spit of Braddock Bay, which is a spot along the lake shore that I like to walk. And in the marina there were some ducks, and here's a nice look at a male American widgeon. For identifying ducks, a lot of times we're looking at the bold color patterns, especially where the white is. And if we look at the widgeon, we see that it has kind of a brown side, but as we get towards the rear of the bird, there's a white patch and then a black patch. And if we look at the head, there is some green coloration to the head. Now this photo is not that great because it was early in the morning and there wasn't much light, but we do see that there is a white stripe that goes from the forehead along the top of the head. And here's another angle of the same American widgeon that shows that white forehead. And I also had nice looks at this pair of mallards. The male is on the left and the female is on the right. Here's a view to the north out over Lake Ontario. And I always love birding along the edge of big bodies of water like this because it just feels like the birds are stretching out into infinity. There was a raft of a few hundred redheads out on the lake, and there was also one white-winged scoter mixed in here in the middle. Here's the view from the tip of the east spit, and the water level is really low right now, so you can actually walk out from the east spit onto the barrier island, but much lower water levels this year compared to the last few years. And actually, I hope it stays that way as we get further into the season, because we had really low water levels a couple years ago, and that meant there was a lot of sandy habitat. We ended up getting a lot of shorebirds that year and a lot of gulls hanging around, even into late May. So sometimes the lower water level has more habitat for some rarities to show up in the Braddock Bay area. Kim joined me while we were at the East Spit, and we decided to go to the north side of the bay over here to the Salmon Creek overlook to get a different angle of the bay and to scan through the ducks, especially scaup that were hanging out at this end of the bay. And there had actually been a tufted duck hanging out over here within the past few weeks, although it hasn't been reported the last couple days. So we were hoping to scan through and hopefully pick that out, although we had no luck with it. But there were a lot of birds around, so maybe we'll try again. And as the flocks shuffle from day to day, maybe it'll turn up again. While we were there, this immature bald eagle flew over, and then later as we were driving to a different location, it was feeding in the grassy area where there was an exit ramp from the parkway. And since the water level is so low, we were able to walk out under this bridge, and I can't see it in this photo because of how bright it is, but there were a lot of ducks out in this area on the water, a lot of ringneck ducks and red-breasted mergansers and more scaup. So we had a pretty good look scanning through, especially since it was a cloudy day. No matter which direction you looked, you didn't have to worry about the angle of the sun or anything, which made it a little bit more fun for scanning through all of the ducks. Next, we walked across the road into the owl woods, hoping to maybe find a northern saw-whet owl. We did not have any luck with that, but over the next few weeks and months, there should be plenty of saw-whet owls migrating through and roosting in the owl woods during the daytime, and also a small number of long-eared owls. So it's a really popular spot for birders and photographers to come and get good looks at owls during the daytime. And you can't really see it in the photo here, but in front of Kim, there were some black-capped chickadees. As it got to be late morning, there were some breaks in the rain, so I went over to Braddock Bay Park thinking about starting the Hawk Watch, but once I got over there, it started to rain again, so didn't really have a chance to do any hawk watching, but I did walk out onto the boardwalk and scan through the ducks there. Looking at the radar, it looked like it wasn't going to clear up, so Kim and I decided to abandon the hawk watch and come over here to Ontario Beach Park and the Charlotte Pier. This can be a really good spot for seeing gulls. And amongst the ring-billed gulls and herring gulls, there was a handful of great black-backed gulls, and we knew that someone had reported them here yesterday, so we figured we'd run over and get it on our county year list. And I should also mention that this is the spot that a Heermann's gull showed up last spring, so definitely a good spot to be checking on a regular basis to see what rarities might be dropping in. And here's a look out the Charlotte Pier, and other years when I've visited this time of year, this has been covered in ice and snow, but this year it was just a little bit wet, and things are certainly much warmer than other years at this time. A boat flushed a flock of long-tailed ducks, which gave us the opportunity for some good looks as they flew by. And here's one more look at the long-tailed duck. I made a trip report for my birding today, and I had a total of 48 species. I had a handful of new county year birds today, including house sparrow and Carolina wren at my housing in the morning. And then at the East Spit, I picked up downy woodpecker and American tree sparrow. At Braddock Bay Park, I had a flyover killdeer. At Ontario Beach, had great blackback gull as well as a red-throated loon out on the lake. And there were also fish crows calling. And then I went back to Braddock Bay Park where I picked out a horned grebe out of the big flock of ducks. And taking a look at hawk count, again, there was no count conducted today because of the rainy conditions. Taking a look at the forecast for tomorrow, we're looking at patchy fog early and then mostly cloudy with a high in the mid to upper 40s and light east-northeast winds. So it's not a great wind direction for us. And being so early in the season with these unfavorable winds, I would expect maybe only a little bit of raptor activity, but wouldn't expect too much. For Monday, it's looking sunny with near record high temps with a high of 64. Winds south-southeast at 5 to 10 miles per hour. So those were actually pretty good conditions. It's a southerly wind, going to be really warm. Usually associated with that kind of weather, we'll have a push of migration. As long as the lake breeze doesn't kick in. Sometimes if we have a warm day with southerly winds, those southerly winds will shift to a northeast cold lake breeze and shut down the flight. And for Tuesday, it's looking cloudy early, but a few showers late in the day. High around 61 and stronger south-southeast winds. So again, that might be another decent day for migration, although the fact that it's going to be cloudy, we'll have to see how gloomy it ends up being. So we'll keep an eye on the forecast, but Monday is probably looking like the best day coming up. Well, maybe not the most exciting update today with the rainy weather, but it gave me a chance to hit a few different spots and pick up some new species for the season. Not very many good chances for photos today because of the rain, and I had my camera in its rain case for most of the day, so only a few bird photos, but coming up I will promise to show you lots and lots of bird photos, especially as we get further into the season and the hawk migration starts to pick up. The unseasonably warm temperatures are going to continue, so it will be interesting to see if more bird species start to show up much earlier than we usually see them. From Lyco Birds, this is David Brown. Thanks for watching.